We had a question from Jennifer Shannon, and this is another one that maybe is a little bit more municipally geared, but I don't know if you might have an input on it. So it's with regards to transportation, bringing more transportation to the Bolton area, go buses, trains, those sorts of things. Is there anything that you could speak to with regards to that?
Yeah, I mean it's challenging when you talk about Go Transit. That's a provincial issue, provincial responsibility. One of the things that I talked about when I campaigned was we need far better transit service all across the riding, especially in Caledon, whether you're in Bolton or sort of anywhere else. The lack of transit is a huge problem when we're trying to move people from Bolton down into Brampton, Mississauga, Toronto, and other places where they're working. I've called for large investments from the provincial government with respect to urban transit. And this is where a government can actually help. They can get involved and partner in those projects. So I think we have to play the long game when we're talking about transit. All levels of government, provincial, federal, and municipal, they all have to say transit is going to be critical, not only for just the quality of life of people living in Dufferin-Caledon, but in fact, if we're looking at trying to meet our carbon emission targets under the Paris Accord, if we don't have large investments in transportation and transit, there's going to be real challenges. So it's great that Go service wasn't stopped to Bolton. I know there was some discussion that was going to take place. For me, with transit, if transit isn't affordable, convenient, and pleasant, people are going to stay in their cars because they can stay in their cars or trucks. They've got their personal space. It's comfortable, all of these things. I know myself at one point when I lived in Brampton, I tried to go to work in Toronto and take the GO train. And if my day finished early, there wasn't a return GO train service. And that goes to convenience. I think much like the old movie with Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams, when they talk about it, if you build it, they will come. If you build a transportation system that is convenient, has lots of options, runs on time, is clean and friendly, all these things, people are going to use transit. And so that is my pledge, that all three levels of government have to come together to make large investments in transit. And Caledon deserves to have, and Bolton in particular, they deserve to have a better transportation system.
Great, thanks, Kyle. I think this will be the last question we take here because it's nearing 8 o'clock, but I noticed also that Jane was on the line, and Jane had a question also about public transport in Bolton, transportation in Bolton. Kyle already touched on that, Mayor Thompson, but is there anything that you would like to add on that?
We do have a public trans system now underway. It's constantly a work improvement. COVID is really throwing a wrench in the gears as far as developing it, but this is something that is here to stay. It's something that we're developing, and hopefully we can have better use. Another thing that we're definitely working on with the City of Vaughan as well is getting GO into just north of Bolton there on Humber Station Road, and trying to get those lands protected. The City of Vaughan needs it so that they can have their stops. The only place we can park the trains is the Bolton area. But I mean, it's really Caledon Go is really what it's called, because it's for the Caledon area, and we're going to need a sizable parking lot, which we can do, to allow people to come off the Emilco Parkway, as well as other areas, to get cars off the road, especially Highway 50. The 427 is going to take years to get built. And so it's extremely important that we got to find other ways of modes of transportation. And I think this is something that's extremely important going forward. So yeah, we're looking at every angle we can possibly do to see how we can move people. I know we had a real challenge with even the GO bus being discontinued, and we're working constantly with that to enhance that, to get better times for people to get connected to certain areas, and also on how to get on the TTC even out at the Vaughan station. So there's a lot of work underway and a lot of dialogue, but it's as the residents say, well, when's it happening? And that's the other thing. I was kind of hoping, this summer, this fall, we'd have a lot done. But again, as we all know, COVID is really putting a wrench in the gears as far as finding those solutions, but we're going to get there.
And Mayor Thompson, when I was asked the question, I said that this is something that all three levels of government have to be prepared to partner in, especially with respect to funding. I don't believe there's a federal government role in determining where GO Transit should be or where the transportation network should be. We should be the partner that is providing funding to the province and the municipalities for whatever those priorities are.
And Kyle, I totally agree with you. I think we're the only, of the G7, we're the only nation that the federal government doesn't contribute to transit, for moving people. And that's something that's is spellbinding. In the US, it's all either federal or state that runs it. Here, it's the local municipalities. And we don't have the finances to maneuver that. Like Toronto is even struggling. So I think John Tory was offered a gift and he didn't take it, but I really think it should be a provincial federal responsibility. Help the minister, and this is where the municipalities step up, is help minister and deliver the local service. But you're right, it has to be a three-way, or we're not going to be able to deliver what the residents are looking for, and that's why our roads are impacted.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, transit is such a key to quality of life, and it's also key to us meeting our carbon emission reduction goals all across this country. When we're sitting in our cars like a parking lot on the 410, we are massively contributing to climate change and increased greenhouse gas emissions. So we have to find ways to fix